So, good morning. Thank you, Claire. Gail, I feel like we prepared our speech together, but it's amazing how many points that you hit on, and I hope I could, in some way, have you understand what I've been through and how I got here. And so what I decided to do is discuss a little bit with you my journey in the real estate industry and how I grew my company, JRT, into the largest woman-owned commercial real estate firm. So I thought the best way would be to tell you a couple of stories. So I got together a couple of vignettes of my life. And I just figured I'd give you snippets to see if you maybe could relate in some way. I was hired by, well, another thing is that yesterday JRT celebrated its 18th year anniversary. So this is, I'm very proud, so I have to say that. Anyway, I was hired by Mary Solano at Burley & Company, and during my interview, she told me to remember that in order to be successful in the real estate industry, never marry a guy in the business. So being a bit rebellious, I started to date her nephew, who was also working at the company. Shortly thereafter, Burley closed its doors, so I moved on to Sylvan Lawrence. And I had a great idea, and I prepared a business plan on forming a certified minority women's business enterprise known as an MWBE that would be strategically aligned with Sylvan Lawrence. So I met with Sylvan Lawrence President Charlie Goldenberg to discuss my plan and how Sylvan Lawrence could be the very first company, the very first company to promote minority and women in the real estate industry. I was really psyched. Women and minorities, I explained, Charlie, interested in pursuing a career in real estate can work side by side with leasing and management and other executives of Sylvan Lawrence and develop a mentor-mentee relationship. He stopped me mid-sentence, he held up his hand and said, "Stop. Did you say that women were a minority in this business?" I said, "Yeah." Charlie's response, "If women are a minority, then so am I." I said, "Charlie, a male Jew in commercial real estate in New York City is not a minority." Shocker. So fearing no growth in Sylvan Lawrence at that point, I moved on to Hubert & Peters, a renewed and dynamic company with the likes of Jimmy Peters at the helm. May he rest in peace. I got engaged to Mary Solano's nephew, and shortly thereafter was told that we had to ask permission of Jimmy because we were both going to be working together. Now understand, between Jimmy Peters and Harry Hubert, there were 7 marriages. So I had to ask permission of Jimmy. We had an appointment, and we sat in front of Jimmy, and we told Jimmy of our intentions. And Jimmy said he would only consent to the marriage if we realized that marriage was like a 5-year lease.
Sounds about right.
With 2-year renewal option. So every 2 years you get to exercise your option. You renew it or you cancel. I'm happy to say that my husband Greg and I are well past our 5-year term, have renewed our 2-year options 12 times, and have sealed the deal with 2 great kids, Ryan and Taylor. So while I was at Hubert & Peters, I played sports in high school and college, so it was very natural for me to be on the softball team at Hubert & Peters, which is a real estate industry team. So I played second base on the company softball team for 3 years. And we played against other commercial real estate firms in the real estate industry league, and it was a great way to meet fellow brokers and socialize with them, especially after the games. Everybody used to go out. It was fun. Jimmy was the manager of the team. The last year, we made it into the playoffs with 2 outs in the last inning after I got a hit and a run scored. The next day, Jimmy called me into his office. He received a phone call from the self-appointed commissioner of the softball league who also worked at the company that we had beaten the previous night, and was told that I could no longer play on the team because it was a men's league. How can that be? I've been playing on the team for 3 years, I said to Jimmy. Jimmy said that the commission did not know that Jodi was a female. He only receives the roster, doesn't attend the games, and thought Jodi was a man's name. I told Jimmy that there are laws to protect women for issues like this. And Jimmy's response was, do you want to be a softball player or a broker? And any law that you pursue is only going to make lawyers rich and other brokers tentative to work with you. So you decide. I can't tell you how disgusted I was. I was so disgusted, and Jimmy knew it. And as I was walking out of his office, he told me one other thing, Jodi. I told Mr. Commissioner that I appointed you the new Youth team manager. He didn't like it, but he knows where I stand. By this time, my portfolio of business was growing at a rapid pace, and shortly thereafter, Youth Peters closed. I went out on my own, and JRT, a certified MWBE firm, was born, forming a strategic alliance with Steve Siegel and Insignia. Steve was the open-minded guy from the start and saw the potential for JRT and Insignia to work and grow together. Insignia was a great place to begin and grow JRT because Insignia was also poised to become a national company. And grow we did, from a portfolio of 1.5 million square feet to 5 million square feet of exclusive leasing and management assignments awarded to JRT Insignia from the leasing professionals of TIAA, the United Nations, who were the early adapters and among the first to recognize the value of MWBE firms. My work had begun giving talented minority and women throughout the country the opportunity to work side by side on these assignments on building and CBDs where Insignia had offices. Years later, CBRE purchased Insignia, and I was told there was no longer a role for JRT. Shortly thereafter, I received a telephone call from one of my old softball buddies, Bruce Mosley. He was interested in JRT because he believed in supporting MWBE initiatives and diversity, and wanted C&W to be the company to promote its goals. That was the best decision in my career. C&W has opened its arms to JRT for the past 11 years, and today C&W is the only commercial real estate firm that has a strategic alliance with an MWBE. Sad but true. Our portfolio has grown to 30 million square feet across the United States. We have been given the opportunity to work along with the Port Authority of New York in the management of the entire World Trade Center site, and of course, the Durst organization on the leasing of One World Trade Center. Together, JRT and C&W work cooperatively on assignments with the City of New York, the MTA, and the United Nations, among others. This mutually rewarding relationship has afforded JRT many opportunities to sit at the table with prestigious landlords, including Jamestown, Taconic, the Durst organization, and of course TIAA. C&W invites JRT to take part in RFPs and presentation to the C-suites of the Fortune 500 corporations to bid for business with C&W at our side. City, state, federal, and Fortune 500 firms now require MWBE participation in RFPs. JRT partners with C&W on these RFPs, and in turn, JRT and C&W prosper. I attribute much of my success to the open minds, out-of-the-box thinking, and creative executives of Cushman & Wakefield, and of course, the professionals of TIAA. We are living in a time and an economy where the trend is that in order to be able to afford our children the opportunities that we have, both parents must at some time in their lives be part of the workplace. Therefore, we, especially as women, must participate in empowering our children by our own work ethics and lead by example. As Gail was mentioning, it always concerned me, and I don't fully understand, why women don't network as well as men. In my opinion, we have to create a comfort level between each other. I've noticed that when men walk into a room with other men, there's an immediate sense of subliminal camaraderie. I don't know, if you've walked into a room and you're the only woman and you're with all these guys, and all of a sudden they're like, you know, they know each other, even though they don't, but they know each other. And you're standing there like, wow, this is weird. We have to create the same feeling for women because, thank God, meetings and presentation rooms are not filled only with men these days. I've found much more diversity at negotiation tables, and it's time to seize the opportunity. How, you may ask? For example, I email women speakers that I've heard when I have enjoyed a thought or a phrase in their speeches. I am sure Marianne Gilmartin of Forest City Ratner must think I'm stalking her by now. Because I've emailed her after hearing her speak to ask for copies of her speeches, which she graciously has sent me. I keep some of her and other women's phrases on my phone, and every once in a while I pick up the phone and look at it. So I'd like to share some of them with you. This is Marianne Gilmartin while she was speaking to mostly a women audience. She said, we must connect with the connectors and become a connector. Another one of hers is, the trifecta in business is people, platform, and power. Another favorite of mine is by Meryl Streep. If you want something spoken about, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. And my favorite, which serves as a constant reminder to me in case things are seemingly going too well, is from Christine Lagarde, the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund. In my interview at the IMF with all the 24 administrators, there was not one single woman. So while I was being questioned for 3 hours by 24 men, I thought, it's good that things are changing a little. Isn't that great? I also make it a point to step out of my comfort level at times and walk up to the front of the room to congratulate a person, any woman that in some way speaks out about promoting women in the workplace. My hope is that I could continue spreading the word and maximize the role of women in this business. The good news is that our numbers are growing and the real estate industry's movers and shakers are women. From the Steakum sisters to the Marianne's, Ty and Gilmartin, to retail's Joanne Podell and Faith Consolo, our time is now. The number of women-owned businesses in the United States, I have 3 statistics. The number of women-owned businesses in the United States grew by 59% between 1997 and 2013. 1/3 of New York businesses are owned by women. Female entrepreneurs run 8.6 million businesses in the United States and generate $1.3 trillion in total revenue, which is why in his recent State of the Union address, Barack Obama said, when women succeed, America succeeds. I have a wish that I've been mentioning in my speeches, and it's one I've been pursuing with enjoyment for more than 25 years, and I'd like to leave you with my wish. My wish is that one day there's no longer a need for women or a minority business to become certified to compete for business. My real goal is what I wanted at the very beginning in Jimmy Peter's office. Just to be able to put on the uniform, play on the same team, solely based on the fact that I know the game and I can play it just as well, and sometimes even better than some, and I'm not being measured by my gender or my race. Then and only then have we all succeeded. Thank you again, Real Estate Weekly, for hosting this event and asking me to be here today.